If one person can put 1,000 to flight, two can put 10,000 to flight, and a triple-braided cord cannot be broken. Drawn straight from Ecclesiastes, 4th chapter in the Bible, this single sentence explains the exponential power that occurs when teams of people work together, inspired by the same vision, the same goal. If one person can put 1,000 to flight, two can put 10,000 to flight. But I can assure you, if you don't have proper leadership, you won't even put one to flight. Forget 1,000. Forget 10,000. A strong leader must be in place before any truly sustained and successful movement can happen. Hello, I'm Bob Proctor. The Freedom Series is all about creating freedom for ourselves, creating accomplishment, forever freeing ourselves of the restrictions and limitations we impose upon ourselves. Through the Freedom Series, we learn how to apply our God-given abilities and spiritual natures toward expansion and fuller expression, the bigger, better, grander, and more opulent aspects of life. In other words, through the Freedom Series, we learn how to become leaders of our lives. And as we take control of the results in our life, we often find that other people begin recognizing us as leaders. They're drawn to us energetically because they, too, want to accomplish something. And leaders get things accomplished. When we want to do something in a bigger way, when we've decided we want to accomplish for ourselves, we seek out a leader. It doesn't matter what exactly it is that we want to accomplish. We might want to repair motorcycles, start yoga classes, begin investing in real estate, learn a foreign language, or learn how to cook soufflés. At any time in your life when you seek expansion and fuller expression, you normally do two things. You seek out a leader and you seek out support. Otherwise, it's a mighty long and lonely trek to the top of your mountain. It's inherent in us to seek support. I'd like you to think for a moment. Those dreams you have in your life, those goals you've written down that you're now ready to move forward on. If you think for just a moment, you'll probably discover that fully accomplishing any one of these dreams or goals will be much more accessible by collecting a team of supportive, like-minded people around you. Groups of people can help you create exponential results. But it takes more than just a group. It requires strong leadership at the helm as well. You want to seek out a leader who has either gone there before you, a pathfinder, if you will, or find someone you respect whose vision and goal is your vision and goal. As I travel the world, I've discovered that there's a large number of people who want to lead. They think they're leaders, but they're ill-equipped. They really have not learned the first thing about leadership. They advertise their inadequacy by not wanting to follow. Strong leaders are always intelligent followers. To accomplish anything of any importance, someone has to be in charge. It's on a rare occasion that you find a strong, charismatic leader that people truly love to follow. And, while there are millions of followers out there, a subject I'll get to in a moment, the number of intelligent followers are also rare. Where do strong leaders come from? Well, initially, they were intelligent followers. As Napoleon Hill noted in his book, Think and Grow Rich, it's no disgrace to be a follower. Most great leaders began in the capacity of followers. They became great leaders because they were intelligent followers. With few exceptions, the person who cannot follow a leader intelligently cannot become an efficient leader. The person who can follow a leader most efficiently is usually the person who develops into leadership more rapidly. No matter how often you might hear the phrase, "That person is a born leader," I can assure you that leaders are not born. Babies are born. Leaders are made. Intelligent followers follow the leader. And in many cases, they become the leader. Granted, some folks have a certain energy about them. We call it charisma. We say we're drawn to them, that they have an ability to forward march the masses, whoever those masses might be. But charisma isn't a genetic thing. It's not something they picked up in a junior college class. It's not even a learned trait. Charisma is simply the manifestation of a person who is on purpose in his or her life and whose thoughts and actions are in harmony with the laws of their being. He has a purpose that he will not sway from. She has a vision that drives her out of bed in the morning and happily consumes her waking moments. They have set goals for themselves that not only excite them, but also keep them moving forward and acting until those goals are accomplished and that vision is realized. When you meet people who know their purpose, you sense a calm about them. While they might have frenetic moments from time to time, they're not frantic, because they know what they're supposed to be doing, and they're doing it. A strong leader understands his or her purpose, and it's from that purpose that this person develops a vision for his life. In the new Lead the Field seminar, I mentioned that the effective leader must be a strong originator. That person must be able to originate a constructive idea, concentrate on that idea, and to reject any other idea that is presented to them that would not aid in the manifestation of the original idea. That's purpose. As I've mentioned in one of the past issues of the Freedom Series, Purpose, Vision, and Goals, purpose gives meaning to why you're doing what you're doing. Once you've found your purpose, you express it by creating and maintaining a vision. Vision is what you do with your life. Vision is the strategy behind the fulfillment of your purpose. You accomplish this strategy by creating several short-term goals to keep you on course. If you, yourself, are having difficulty ascertaining what exactly your purpose and vision is, I would suggest you go to our website, thefreedomseries.com, and order a back issue of the CD, Purpose, Vision, and Goals. In fact, if you're currently following a leader and you've begun to have doubts about his or her purpose and vision, that CD will help you to get back on track. Now, I would like to discuss why leaders fail. We've all come across people who've either self-appointed themselves or have been appointed to a leadership role, and they're terrible leaders. While there may be a variety of reasons behind their struggle or failure, understand that the primary issue here lies in the fact that they're what I call wafflers. They're indecisive. They waffle on their vision. They're not locked on their purpose. They might not even know their purpose. They're distracted by smaller minds and smaller ideas. Strong leaders live from the inside out. Weak leaders live from the outside in. The weak leader's thought, you see, is not linked to purpose. James Allen once said, "Until thought is linked with purpose, there is no intelligent accomplishment." Without purpose and vision, your thoughts might as well be dust mites that float in the midday sun. When purpose and vision is lacking, there's no order. And order is heaven's first law. When you begin to follow a leader, don't allow yourself to follow blindly. You are not put on this earth to be a blind follower. So ask the intelligent followers questions. Is there a purpose here? What is it? Is there a vision here? What is it? Is it written down? There needs to be a unified agreement on a purpose. When I say unified agreement, I mean that you must first explore this leader's purpose and vision, and then decide if it fits for you. Is it in harmony with your own purpose and vision for your life? Does it run in parallel course? If the answer is yes, then you're in unified agreement. This is a leader you want to follow, and it's a very good chance this leader is a strong leader for you and your aims in life. All of this has to be settled before you start the trip together. Don't choose a leader because you think your goal is similar. That's not enough. If you've ever seen the movie Planes, Trains, and Automobiles with Steve Martin and John Candy, you've seen a perfect example of two gentlemen who thought they had the same goal. They both wanted to get to Chicago in time for Thanksgiving. Never mind that they were complete strangers, and never mind that they were complete opposites in road trip behavior, car rental behavior, hotel rooming habits, or even choice of road trip songs they'd prefer to sing. It was only after they started the trip that they realized that one shared goal wasn't enough to get them through a painless and effortless excursion to Chicago. As weather delays mounted on overbooked planes, unavailable rental cars, shabby motels, and hitchhiking disasters with very strange people, their ability to work together as a team quickly unraveled. Steve Martin had allowed himself to fall into the blind follower mode, not even realizing until the end of the movie that his purpose and vision for arrival in Chicago wasn't even a similar blip on John Candy's radar screen. John Candy had an entirely different purpose and vision, and had from the very start. Now, being in the middle of a road trip with your appointed leader is not the time to start discussing where you're going and why. This needs to be discussed and resolved at the first proverbial gas station, before you're even out of the town limits. Otherwise, you've relegated yourself to blind follower, and a blind follower will constantly find himself frustrated and denied his goals while his life, sadly, continues to slip on by. It's not about your leader's goals. It's bigger than that. Oddly enough, your goals don't have to be the same, but the purpose and vision between strong leader and intelligent follower should be in harmony. Now, of course, very rarely will you find someone with the exact same purpose and identical vision to yours. We're not created as a beautiful and unique beings to simply fall into that sort of line. But as you open yourself up to the potentiality of finding those followers or leaders, you'll discover a host of people whose purpose and vision lies in sync with yours. As an example, I currently work with an enormous organization that has attracted thousands of members around the world. Now, the leader of this organization understands his vision, consistent member growth, and member retention. Through this achievement of vision, his purpose is achieved. A million-strong membership that increases health and financial abundance in tens of millions of people. If you're a member of this organization, you might have a goal to increase your income by a certain amount every year or month. Another member might have a goal to increase his own membership line, his increasing member growth for himself and his organization. Still another member might be focused on providing service and support to her own membership line because retention builds additional member growth and financial increase. These members might have different goals, but their vision is right in sync with their leaders, member growth and member retention. And because their vision is in sync, they're actually helping their leader achieve his purpose. As Leo Tolstoy so elegantly put it, power from the standpoint of experience is merely the relation that exists between the expression of someone's purpose and the execution of that purpose by others. Tolstoy was right. As Napoleon Hill said, leadership calls for power, and power calls for cooperation. If you're currently a follower, I'd like you to think for a moment about the various leaders you have in your life right now. This doesn't necessarily have to be in your workplace. You might be following a leader in a religious or nonprofit organization. You might be involved in a team sport where your leader takes on the role of coach. You might have a mentor that you've chosen to follow, a teacher you're taking instruction from as you seek to perfect a skill, a politician you've decided to heartily support. Forget about their goals. It's nice to know what they're shooting for, but it's not their goals that should be keeping you there. Why are they doing what they're doing? That's their purpose. What is their strategy behind the fulfillment of their purpose? That's their vision. If you're currently a leader, I'd like you to think for a moment about why your followers are following you. If you find yourself combating a sense of disgruntlement, lack of passion, giving up, resentment, lack of work ethic, loss of interest, accusations, it's important to recognize two important points here. First, any time people come together, there will be some level of adjusting to and working with all the various personalities, consciousness, subconsciousness, and what I call ongoing tape playing that happens in everyone's mind. I've referred to this as dealing with the monkeys in our mind, no matter how awake and conscious you might be. No matter how great your growth and on-track purpose and passion, you're going to come up against disagreements and disgruntled exchanges from time to time. That's just ego and years of unconscious training taking over. There's no excuse for it, but you will have to deal with it showing up from time to time. But the second point here is the most important one. When this sort of negativity and stop the car, I want to get out activity starts in, stop for a moment and ask, have I been clear on my purpose? Have I been succinct in explaining my vision, the strategy that fulfills this purpose? And last, are my followers in sync with this? And are they clear on their role in our combined effort to fulfill that vision and purpose? These aren't the kind of questions you can just glide over, like skipping stones across a pond. These questions take serious thought about the situations you're currently in. I was recently talking with a coaching client of mine who happens to play in a team sport for recreation. Although it's a recreational sport, he trains rigorously to maintain his position in the small starting lineup in competitions. He mentioned that just a few weeks ago, his starting lineup had been jolted because the coach for his division had, without explanation, removed one player from the starting team and replaced him with someone who was talented but hadn't trained with the starting team players. For the first time in the season, they lost. Controversy began to rise. The player who had been removed was bewildered and resentful at the sudden, unexplained shift. The player who had been put in then endured the team's first loss, felt responsible for the loss, and was suddenly on the defensive. A few of the team players had asked for an explanation from their coach and got no response. The next week, the coach put in yet another new player, and the team lost again. At that point, the controversy went from muttering to open rebellion on several players' parts. When the coach still refused to explain his reasons, the head coach over the entire team stepped in and called a meeting. In that meeting, the head coach wasn't concerned about hearing complaints or defending his coach for the week's previous decisions. In very simple terms, he told the team what the club's purpose and vision was. There it was, out on the table. Yes, the team was already in the middle of its proverbial road trip. The head coach had been remiss for not making his points clearer earlier in the season. But nonetheless, the head coach was very clear, at last, on the club's purpose and vision. A strong leader is going to make it his or her business to help the follower understand these things. And an intelligent follower will understand when the leader explains it. Now, it's up to the players, or the followers as it were, from the starting lineup on down to decide if the club's purpose and vision is in sync with their own. I'm going to give you another example just from my own circle of experience these last few weeks, and I'd like to make a very important point that I ask you to listen carefully for. I work with a group as a consultant, and I guess you could say that many of its starting lineup players seem to be the ones taking the most issue with how the leader is running her organization. Now, I'm sure many of these starting lineup players will likely become very strong leaders in the future. After all, people we consider starting lineup players in life are usually people who are on purpose and have established a vision for their lives. They constantly strive for and seek out improvement, expression, and fuller expansion. But just because a starting lineup player is a doer doesn't necessarily make them a leader. We see this in sports all the time. There might be a phenomenal athlete on the basketball court, and he's instrumental in winning his team championship after championship. But stick him in a coaching position, and he's all thumbs. He's not a leader, he's just a really great doer. In business, a doer is often mistaken as a leader because he or she makes a lot of money. This person might be at the top of the sales game, raking in commissions or opening new account after new account. You might think this person rules the roost. In fact, in many cases, you might even think this person is smarter than you or smarter than a whole lot of people. This is one of the greatest fallacies we've ever come to believe, that the person with the big bucks has got more brains than the next 11 put together. Not true. Big paychecks do not make big leaders. But in many cases, it's the big doer and the big check person who most loudly questions the leader. In many cases, the bigger the doer, the bigger the check person. The more enormous the pressure applied to the leader to change current course. How this is handled is what separates the average leader from the strong leader. It's important that the strong leader not waffle. As I noted earlier, wafflers slide all over the stated vision because they're trying to please, appease, or seek approval from their followers. Wafflers are not locked on their purpose. They might not even know their purpose. As a result, they allow themselves to get distracted. They allow the followers to steer them off course. Now, just because a strong leader doesn't allow himself or herself to be towed off course does not mean that he or she becomes an inflexible, irresolute dictator. As Dwight D. Eisenhower once said, "You do not lead by hitting people over the head." That's assault, not leadership. A strong leader remains open to genius suggestions and magnificent ideas. We all know that we're not put here to do it all ourselves. Remember, the support we seek is out there and will be drawn to us to help us achieve our purpose. George Matthew Adams put it so beautifully when he said, "It is the spirit of the person that hangs above him like a star in the sky. People identify with him until there is formed a parade of men and women thus inspired." I love that. The strong leader stays on course. It is this passion, the purpose, and maintaining course, the vision, that attracts and keeps the intelligent followers. So now we arrive at the point I wanted you to listen for. When the leader states the vision and then details the strategy, how this is going to be executed, and you analyze it and disagree with it, there's only one person that you should state your disagreement to: the leader. When you approach the leader, you may even go so far as to explain how you believe it should be done. You might even go a bit further by laying out a strategy that you yourself have originated. If after the leader has heard from you, has listened to your disagreement, and then states that the course will not be changed, you have a decision to make. You will either fall in line and support your leader's vision and strategy as if it was your own, or you should quit. On more than one occasion, I myself have been in a situation where I had to completely scrap what I thought was the better way and instead follow my leader's strategy. And I can assure you, if you accept your leader's strategy as your own, put your heart into it, and give it everything you've got, you will receive the same satisfaction as if you originated the vision yourself. Many times I've counseled clients who were still seething after they went to their leader, explained their issues, and were told that the course would not be altered. Rather than make a decision at that point to quit or keep working with acceptance and mouths shut, their resentment, anger, and affronted attitude just continued. That's not only ridiculous. A person caught up in such a negative cycle is not only doing harm to the organization, but is destroying something deep within themselves. See, when you harbor resentment and anger, when you continue to nurse a sore ego, when you insist on sharing your displeasure to your peers around you, you're taking this neutral energy that's flowing into you, and you're turning it into a very negative vibration that resides in you and expresses through you in your actions, which ultimately manifest in your results and becomes your life story. In other words, you might as well be a stinking bog. No life comes in, no life exists within, and you, as a conduit of energy and vibration for others, have shut off all entry and exit. You're stagnant, unmoving, and unfulfilled. Forget it. If you're truly an intelligent follower, get out. Absolutely nothing in your life is worth this kind of stagnation. In his essay, Mental Attitude, Elbert Hubbard wrote, Character is the result of two things: mental attitude and the way we spend our time. It is what we think and what we subsequently do that makes us what we are. Now that you're clear on your leader's direction, how are you going to think, and what are you going to do? See, your focus should lie in carrying out your leader's vision. That vision, then, should certainly be in synchronicity with your own. There's nothing wrong with buying into another person's vision. Great leaders sell their vision to their followers all the time. It's part of a leader's modus operandi. Having a vision, others will adopt. As I've already mentioned, there's tremendous satisfaction in sharing the vision of a leader and becoming an integral part of the team, totally dedicated to assisting the leader in turning his or her vision into reality. I'm presently working very closely with two great leaders who have totally different personalities and completely different visions. Michael Ashley is a world-renowned race car driver and mortgage banker who moves as fast in business as he does on the track. He's an exciting personality, and whenever you're in his presence, he makes you want to be more than you are. Michael has a vision of building a strong, exciting company throughout North America. The other great leader is Kendall Cho, who is building a world-class organization and has implemented an extraordinary vision of creating 10,000 healthy millionaires in 100 different countries. There's no question in my mind that both of these great men are going to realize their vision. I have become one of their strongest followers. I'm not only dedicated to helping them realize their vision, I want to sell their vision to others. I believe in both of them as individuals and respect their leadership ability. However, that in itself is not what hooks an intelligent follower. Coupled with my respect for them is the fact that I have fallen in love with the vision that they have originated, and I want to see it materialize as much as they do. It is the rapport you develop with the vision that qualifies you as an intelligent follower. Let me repeat that again. It is the rapport you develop with the vision that qualifies you as an intelligent follower. And I've found from personal experience that there can be extraordinary rewards that come from working with someone else's vision. I will enjoy benefits for the rest of my life because of the education I received working with Earl Nightingale and Lloyd Conant, and because of the number of years I diligently worked to help them turn their vision into reality. Don't hesitate for a moment to set your ego aside and fall in love with someone else's vision. And the ego must be set aside, or you will pay a tremendous price. It is important that you remember, if you cannot get behind your leader's vision, you should get out. You're not on this planet to waste time in a position that does not agree with your own purpose and vision, nor should you be expected to follow other followers whose ideas are counter to that of the leaders. You know, Elbert Hubbard is one of my favorite writers and philosophers of our time. Before he passed on in 1915, he had written more than 7 million words in a huge number of essays and collections. I just mentioned one of his essays, Mental Attitude. But his essay, Get Out or Get in Line, is very appropriate here. I'm going to read you just a few paragraphs. He says, and I quote, "Do this, or if for any reason you should prefer not, then take your choice of these. Get out or get in line. You have got to do one or the other. Now make your choice. If you work for a man, in heaven's name, work for him. If he pays you wages that supply you your bread and butter, work for him. Speak well of him. Think well of him. Stand by him, and stand by the institution he represents. I think if I worked for a man, I would work for him. I would not work for him part of the time and the rest of the time work against him. I would give an undivided service or none. If put to the pinch, an ounce of loyalty is worth a pound of cleverness. If you must vilify, condemn, and eternally disparage the leader, then resign your position. And when you're outside, then damn to your heart's content. But I pray you, as long as you are part of an institution, do not condemn it. Not that you will injure the institution, not that, But when you disparage a concern of which you are a part, you disparage yourself. More than that, you are loosening the tendrils that hold you to the institution. And when the first high wind happens along, you will be uprooted and blown away in the blizzard's track, and you will probably never know why. End of quote. Isn't that powerful? Bear in mind, too, that as a follower, what you do, how you act, and how you speak toward your leader will not shrink or dissipate the slightest when you yourself rise to a leadership position. It's the boomerang effect. What you put out there will eventually return to you in the same neat package you initially sent out. That's universal law, the law of cause and effect. Alfred P. Hack said, "Do the thing that is right, even when the boss isn't looking, because the boss isn't the criteria. The real boss is standing alongside of you every moment of your life." Well, the law of cause and effect should be a primary consideration every day in a strong leader's life. Here are other ingredients to forming of a strong leader. A strong leader must always know how to be a good follower, even when in a leadership position. Strong leaders have a deep appreciation for the creative ability of others. They are acutely aware that everyone's ideas come from one infinite source of supply. As a result, they respect the genius they see in others and act on those ideas for the betterment of all. It has been said many times that we can accomplish almost anything when we don't care who gets the credit. In my personal life, I've thoroughly enjoyed following, even when I'm the purported leader. It doesn't matter to me as long as I'm accomplishing something. The strong leader understands how to develop that composite personality where two or more people work together as one unified power. Napoleon Hill noted, "A leader must understand and apply the principle of cooperative effort and be able to induce his followers to do the same." Remember how I opened this lesson with a quote from Ecclesiastes? "If one person can put 1,000 to flight, two can put 10,000 to flight, and a triple-braided cord cannot be broken." The strong leader yields to this composite power. A strong leader understands that his or her role lies in motivating and inspiring individuals to greatness. As John D. Rockefeller said, "Good leaders consist in showing average people how to do the work of superior people." When I worked with Earl Nightingale, he would often remind me that, contrary to popular belief, you do not raise morale in an organization, it filters down from the top. Chris Haggerty, a management consultant who worked with Earl and his partner Lloyd Conant, also said something on this subject that I will never forget. He said the goal of most leaders is to get the person to think highly of them as a leader. But the goal of the exceptional leader is to get the person to think highly of themselves. The founder of Wilson Learning, Larry Wilson, is someone I'm pleased to count among my friends. Larry is not only a genius in the field of human resources, but is a proven, consistent, strong leader. I remember Larry once telling me that great leaders have people following them because they want to follow them. A strong leader gets people to work together toward a common purpose and vision. This leader generates an atmosphere in which others feel at ease and appreciated. Leaders get work done through people. Leverage is the name of the game. In order to achieve that vision, teamwork is essential up and down the line. Thomas D. Bailey said, "Conductors of great symphony orchestras do not know how to play every musical instrument, yet through their leadership, the ultimate production is an expressive and unified combination of tones." As Henry Kissinger noted, the task of the leader is to get his people from where they are to where they have not been. Isn't that great? I love it. The task of the leader is to get his people from where they are to where they have not been. The purpose of all human organizations is to make life more meaningful. It is the leadership's responsibility, then, to create what I call this composite mind of all the followers. By creating a composite mind of his people to efficiently achieve his vision, the leader also lifts his people up to help them achieve their own purpose and vision. As the followers get more involved and excited about the accomplishment of this larger vision, their own dreams and potential are being continually supported and promoted, which ultimately keeps them on their purpose. Well, there are so many respected qualities in leadership I could continue with here. I would like to close with this singular, most important aspect. A strong leader figures out how to increase the success of his organization and then continually and constantly applies himself to doing the work that will achieve this success. The strong leader sets the example, the work ethic, the level of passion, by being the example. Once that example is established, the followers simply fall into line to help the leader accomplish the vision. And as a result, as Lao Tse says, when the effective leader is finished with his work, the people say it happened naturally. Let me leave you with some advice that Earl Nightingale shared with us many years ago in one of his magnificent recordings. It came from Dean Briggs, who had this to say: "Do your work. Not just your work and no more, but a little more for the lavishing sake. That little more which is worth all the rest. And if you suffer as you must, and if you doubt as you must, do your work. Put your heart into it, and the sky will clear. And then out of your very doubt and suffering will be born the supreme joy of life." This is Bob Proctor, and thank you.